So I began teaching you guys all the different mechanics for finishing a straight foot lock. Now we're ready to begin learning the Aoki lock. This is an introduction to learning the Aoki lock. So what is the Aoki lock? The Aoki lock is when we gather not only the toes in our armpit, but we also gather the heel in our armpit. So what I need you guys to understand is how the knee and leg work. So what I want you to see is this. For my partner to defend a foot lock, as we saw previously, he could turn his knee in, right? So if I'm going for a foot lock on John here, this side's better, so you can turn it, yeah. And he turns his knee in, and I have trouble mirroring him. Now I'm on his shin, right? I don't have a foot lock right now. You see how he's able to turn his knee in? What I want you to notice is this. Why can he turn his knee in? Because his toes are further down than his heel. You see how his toes are further than his heel? So now look what happens with a foot lock, or his leg in general. Whenever his heel exceeds his toes and his heel exceeds his knee, look at his knee, how it points this direction. You guys see that? Now, John, turn your knee in. He cannot, because his heel exceeds it. Whenever his knee exceeds his heel, look how he can turn in all day. So for him to defend a foot lock, he would be doing the turnout defense. Okay, this is the most common defense I deal with when I'm doing a foot lock. I'll be going for a foot lock, and John will turn his heel this direction, so now his knee exceeds his heel. You guys see this? And now I can do everything we said before with the straight foot lock. But what I want you guys to notice is this. What if I was able to do some type of mechanism here that made his heel exceed his knee? Now look how his knee will be behind his heel, meaning that he cannot turn his knee in anymore. Now he's limited on how much he can turn his knee in. And what does that mean? That means that we could break a different part of his foot at the same time as doing our straight foot lock mechanics. Okay? So because the heel is involved now, we're going to be able to start breaking this part of his foot as well. You see? So as I'm here and I put pressure, I'm able to start putting pressure here, and I'm breaking here and here. So it gives us even more parts of this foot that we can break. And remember what I said before our goal is when we're doing a foot lock. My goal is, I don't know if he's going to tap, but I'm going to break as many parts of his foot as he can. Because if I can break all the different parts of his foot, he's not going to be able to walk. You know, if I only break one part of his foot, his foot could overcompensate and use another part of his foot to function. But if we're able to break all the different parts of his foot's just going to explode, right? Or he could tap. He has to tap at that point because his foot's just going to be hanging off his body, right? So the Aoki lock, how we're going to define it is, I'm going for a regular foot lock, right? The regular foot lock, his heel is here on my body. The regular foot lock, his heel is here on my body, right? As I do an Aoki lock, I make his heel go on top of my body like so. Now, his heel exceeds his knee. So what does that mean in terms of him turning into me? His turn-in is going to be limited. Turn-in, it's hard for him to move his knee. It shuts off his knee because his heel exceeds his knee. I cannot turn in now. If my knee exceeds my heel, I can turn in all day because my toes and knee exceed my heel. Once I make my heel exceed them, I cannot turn in. That limits my defenses for the foot lock. And now I have so much more capabilities of breaking the foot. So now I'm going to teach you guys how we add in the Aoki lock to our foot lock system. So now I'm going to show you how we can apply the Aoki lock in all the different spots that we just worked. Alright? I'm going to show you how we get to the Aoki lock. Alright? And I'm going to show you like all the different ways we can do it. So let me here with John. Butterfly ash. Right? I'm going to be here. And I'm in our regular foot lock system right now. Right? All I have to do to get to the Aoki lock is I have to do some type of mechanism to make his heel go to my chest. So what do I have to do? I have to bring my elbow inside my body. Right? Just like I said before, tucking your elbow. But before we were tucking our elbow like so. Right? Now what we're doing is we're pushing our arm. We're separating our forearm from our body like this. Okay? So I'm separating my forearm from my body. Right? And that's going to roll my elbow on top of my body. Putting his heel, collecting his heel to my chest. So as I'm here, guys, what I'm going to do is this. I move my chest, my torso, away from his leg. Do you see how I make space? You see that? So first I'm like this for the other one, because we want to put weight on it. Now we're separating it. And now that we're separated, we back our body up. And I roll my elbow up, like so. Look how now his heel collected to my body. And now we have the perfect finish. Okay, so the finish mechanics for this Aoki lock are as follows. Because his heel is on my chest like so, I'm going to press my chest into his heel like this. As I press my chest into his heel, it's going to put a different pressure on the side of his foot, as well as back. So we're doing the same mechanics as the straight foot lock. That's why I'm not going to explain everything, but we're just using our chest forward on the heel. That's the only thing I need you guys to understand, how I'm using my chest here on his heel like this. And then I'm doing everything the same that you learned in the foot lock mechanics. That's why I saved this last, because you being able to do the straight foot lock will make this 1,000 times easier, you know, because it's so much, it's so strong, you know. So all I need you guys to do is this. We're here. And we're here. All we're doing is, I'm separating my body from his leg like so. I raise it up and I back up. As I back up, I bring my elbow below my body like so. Now his heel is on my body. Now when we're here, we have the perfect Aoki lock, where I just bring my chest into his heel like so. I bring up and I put pressure. You see how my arm is not even involved? My fulcrum is my chest. My chest raising up is even a fulcrum right now. My chest raising the heel up and my toes down. You see how it already submits him? So I have an extra fulcrum right now. It's my chest raising the heel up. The toes bending and the chest raising up will be enough to start putting pressure here on the foot. Plus, my mechanics for a straight foot lock, I'm doing it at the same time, guys. So I'm going to break here and I'm going to break down at the same time. That's why this is so strong, guys. And that's why I love doing the Aoki variation with the straight foot lock variation. I think Aoki made the Aoki lock famous with a version like this, which is completely pressure on the knee and everything. We're not doing this, guys. We're semi-putting the heel on our chest like this. So we're still able to do a straight foot lock on his toes, but we also have the pressure on the side of his foot as well. Alright? So it's like a hybrid of the Aoki lock and a straight foot lock. Right? But it's still Aoki because the heel is on our chest. That's why we call it Aoki. Now, when we're here, again, this is the outside finish when we're here. All I want you guys to do is this. We back our body up and we roll it. We back our body up. So I have my elbow on the floor. I back my body up. I touch his heel to my chest. And now I roll my elbow in. And now I have the Aoki lock, where his heel is on my chest and I just put pressure forward. With all our mechanics from before. Everything. Look how when I look away to the side, it instantly taps him. Bridging in would instantly tap him. It's so much stronger than everything. Okay, this is so devastating, this position. Now, let's say I was in another scenario where his leg is turned in a little bit, like so. And I'm here. So now we're in a square inside scenario, right? I'm going to put pressure. I'm going to open my elbow. I'm going to roll his heel to my chest again. And now, again, same finish. See? I just bring my shoulder back. I put pressure forward here. I look this way. And now my fulcrum is my chest as well as my arm here. Okay? All our breaking mechanics from before are the same. You guys see this? Now, if I was belly down with an Aoki lock, I'm here, and I have the heel on my chest here, and I'm bridging, it's even more it's even more strong on the heel here. Okay? So, I didn't want to make separate clips for this because it's almost repetitive because it's all the same mechanics. I just need you guys to learn how to roll the heel to your chest. Alright? This is the first method you guys learn to roll the heel to the chest. Is right now like this. Here, I'm just grabbing right here on the leg, whatever. I move my body away, separating this. I back my body up, so I separate my torso from his body. Look, I separate my elbow. My elbow separates. I raise my torso up, and now all I'm going to do is this. I raise, I back up, and I roll my elbow closed. Now his heel is right here, and now I have the perfect Aoki lock here. Where I can grab the collar deeper, which is that. Okay. Again, elbow here, separate, heel, collect heel. Elbow separates, back up, close elbow, collect the heel. Okay. This is the first method for you guys to learn how to be the Aoki lock. The next video, I'm going to show you my favorite method to do this. Listen. So now I'm going to introduce to you guys a new method for doing all these footlocks, okay? I developed this method a few months ago in preparation for the Worlds. I don't know if other people do this method. I figured it out here in my garage. So I've been doing this over and over, and it's so strong. All right. So I'm gonna show you guys what I'm doing. So whenever I'm doing a foot lock here, I showed you previously controlling on the outside, all controlling on the outside. But every time I'm doing a foot lock, what I can do is I can take this hand. I can go under my own elbow like so. And now look what happens when I do this. Let's just change sides. Let me do it this way. What happens is I have a new way for my body to separate. You see, because I said previously when I'm doing this, I want to separate my body to roll the foot up, right? To close my elbow to roll the foot up. But I'm only using one thing right now to do this, backing my body up. I can push, but look what happens when I use my other arm. I'm able to use my forearm like this on his leg. Look how I'm able to use my forearm on his leg. Now that's going to give me a new way to separate his body from me. So I grab my elbow, I separate. Now look how I can roll his heel on top of me without doing anything. You guys see this? This is what my favorite method for getting here. I've been doing this over and over. So all I have to do is get to the foot lock. I don't even have to be completely right. I just have to go elbow to elbow. Pressure. I take this hand. I grab my elbow, my tricep, elbow, bicep area. I pressure. I open my other elbow. This elbow is opening like this. I back my body up, and now I roll it. And look how it instantly puts the yoki lock in. And now I'm in the perfect spot for the yoki. Look how his heel is on my chest. Look how my chest is a fulcrum now. As I push forward, as I go back, and as I bridge, I have the perfect submission. You guys see that? The elbow to elbow. All right, so let's show another scenario. Turn it to me. We're going to be in the square inside scenario. I'm going to be here. His knee is turning this way, right? I'm going to go elbow to elbow. Look. I'm putting pressure on the regular foot lock. I go elbow to elbow. I raise it up. Look how I raise my elbow. Now look how I turn. Now look how his heel starts raising. And it instantly starts putting pressure. So as I raise up and I roll, look how it instantly changes pressure. Opposed to being here and I raise and I can slowly collect it, but look how I only have my elbow helping me. The second I add this assist arm in and I raise it up, I'm able to really raise this part of his leg up, separating it from my body like this. Now I can back up. I can back up, rolling his heel this direction. So you guys see what I'm doing? I raise up and I back up at the same time. I push him away and back up. Now I can collect his heel under my chest. Now that I collect his heel on my chest, it's an instant tap. I can even tap him staying like this if I want. You see? Because my fulcrum's on my chest. That's what's going to give me the break here. Okay? And then we continue all our foot lock breaking mechanics like before. Right? So we're just here. I bring my hand in, I grab my elbow, I raise up. I raise my elbow up, like so. I back up, and now I can circle his foot right here, and I get the tap. Right? This is the method I prefer, and I think you guys are going to have a really easy time with. Been showing a lot of people this concept, and it's been working really well. So, elbow to elbow, backing my body up, using this arm on my leg. Now I can roll the heel. Okay? This is how you control it. Just push your hand, you're here. Elbow to elbow, backing my chest away. I move my chest away. This is the biggest thing. Look how I move my chest away. By pushing my elbow, raising this elbow up, now I'm raising both elbows basically, and then I back up and roll. And now I have the submission here. I could go back to here for a sandwich theory, or I could just use my chest. Done. Right? Again, the inside one. You're turning your knee in, we're here. I raise up, I roll. And as I roll, it's going to tap him. Look. As I back up and move my shoulder back and I roll, this motion alone is going to tap him. Right? So you'll get so many submissions alone just doing this. Right? So start playing with this concept. You're just literally going like this. You're just grabbing your elbow with your hand. You back your elbow up and then you back up and you roll it. And then it's in the perfect spot every time. Let's. So now I'm ready to show you guys a new scenario for the foot lock, and this is going to be when the person's trying to do the turn in and they're very strong, okay? This is going to teach you guys this is going to fix all your problems, this elbow to elbow concept, and I'm going to show you guys how to use it, and we're going to learn a new concept about the knee now, okay? But first, we're going to do this first basic variation. So I'm going to be here with John, and before we were doing, I was able to get my head aligned with his knee. Awesome, we got the foot lock every time. Now John turned his foot and gets to the side, right? So I'm in the foot lock like this, but I really don't have it anymore. Look how my head is completely not aligned with him. Look how my legs are not aligned with him. Okay, so what are we going to do? I'm going to go elbow to elbow with him, like so. And as I go elbow to elbow, I'm going to raise my elbow up like so. And as I raise this elbow up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect my knee to the outside of his knee like so. You guys see this? So now I have two things keeping his knee from closing. So try to close your knee. You see how my knee and my forearm stop it. Okay? So now what are we going to do? I'm going to separate his foot away from me again and back up. I'm going to back up. Now I'm going to roll it again. Look how his knee is now aligned with my head again. You guys see that? So now we have a new method for when we're not aligned with him, we can just move his knee physically to become aligned with my head again. Okay, and we have two things pushing this part of his leg this way to do this, and I'm backing up. The backing up is very important, guys, because then we can collect the heel to our chest again, all right? And what do we know? Once the heel exceeds his knee and his toes, his knee must open, okay? So we're here. I'm in the footlock, right? And we're here. He's turning in, and I'm in this spot. I go elbow to elbow. I raise my forearm elbow up. Now what I do is I place my knee, this knee, look what I do. I place it under his knee. Why? For him to turn his knee in, he needs it below my knee. The second I place my knee under, turn your knee in, it becomes way more difficult, alright? And all I have to do is place my toes on his ribs like so, and I just have to put it under. So now turn in, it becomes difficult. As I have my elbow to elbow and my knee turning in, now it's really difficult. Now what are we going to do? I'm going to move my body again away from him, separating it. I'm going to back up and roll his heel on top of me. Now look where my head is again. Aligned with his knee. I have the perfect pressure. I put pressure on my chest, fulcrum on his heel, and I raise. And now I have the perfect head. Okay? So again, he's turning in. We're here. I raise. I collect. So I go like this first. I go 1, 2. Now I separate my body. I roll the heel on top of me. Now I have this position. Okay? You guys, I want you guys to get used to doing this concept here. My knee going under his knee. I just put my heel directly on his ribs here to get my knee there. So first, when I'm here, I use my forearm, I get my knee. Now once I have both, I back up, I roll. Okay. I get my knee and my forearm, I back up. I separate my chest, my torso from my elbow. I back up, I roll. Here, I back up, I roll. Here, I back up, I roll. Here, I back up, I roll. Do you guys see how I'm doing this every time? Now it's such a strong spot. The heel's on my chest. We put pressure in, we go here, we push it back. Alright? This is the first method I'm showing you guys how to fix the foot when the person's turning out. Listen. Now I'm going to show you an alternative variation to what I previously showed you. Now how I'm using my knee on his knee, that could be a little flexibility, right? So I'm going to show you an alternative way to do it that I've been using a lot in training also. Now, then we go back to elbow and we're in the same spot. Alright, so I'm here with John. I'll get to this spot. John's turning in. We're in this spot here, right? So, like I said before, we went elbow to elbow. We put pressure. We collected knee here. So move this way, please. So we're here. So now what are we going to do? Instead of me going elbow to elbow initially, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my hand in to go elbow to elbow, but I'm going to place my hand under my knee right here. Now this is going to act as another way for us to raise this, right? So now I'm going to put pressure with the side of my hand on this part of his leg. So I'm going to put pressure with the side of my hand on this side of his leg. I'm going to raise here, and now I'm going to place my knee again, okay? You see how I can place my knee now? Because I have more of a wedge here to raise it open to put my knee. If I can't do this, I'm going to just use my knee on the outside of my elbow. Now close your knee. See how my knee and elbow align will make it stronger? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go elbow to elbow again. I'm going to back up, roll it. And I'm going to be in the same spot as before. You guys see that? So again, I'm here, elbow to elbow. I try to open. I bring my hand now below my knee. And now I use my knee on my elbow like so. If I can, I place my knee to knee. If I'm flexible enough, now it's easy. Back up, roll. And be careful when you're doing this rolling motion. It's really dangerous on the partner's foot, okay? So we're here, elbow to elbow. I bring my hand under my knee and I raise it up. Now I bring my knee here. And if I can place my knee here, awesome. Now I separate my body, I roll it. I end up in the perfect spot, all right? So a lot of times I just end up in the foot, I underhooking the leg, I land here. I'll grab my shin like this when I land. Now look what I can do, I can open. I could go here, elbow to elbow, now tuck. Do you guys see how that shin grip I can make on my leg will help me so much in opening the knee? Because I could go here, here, separate, roll. Alright? So this is another variation for you guys to play with and doing the same concept as before. Yes. Alright guys, now we're ready to have a very interesting discussion, and you're going to learn a really cool concept about the knee now. Okay? So what I want you to see with John's knee is this. When we're doing all these positions, what have I been doing every time? I've been managing to open his knee in this direction, right? And then we're able to get his heel in front of his knee, and now my head's aligned with his knee, and I can get the full lock every time. Alright? So now what I want you guys to see is this. I've been successful in opening his knee. What if he's really strong when I'm trying to open his knee, and now he's putting pressure like so? You see? Or if I'm trying to close his knee, and he stops me from closing his knee. Both motions, he's putting pressure in these ways, right? What I need you guys to understand is there's a new rule that I want you to learn with his knee. Every time my partner stops me from closing his knee or opening his knee, he cannot stop me from bringing his heel to his butt. Okay? It shuts off that part of his leg. So I'm here, I'm fighting either direction. Now I can bring the heel to the butt. Why is that relevant for us? That's going to enable me to angle my hips in the correct direction. Alright? So in the previous two segments, I gave you two different ways to achieve opening his knee. He's going to be too strong now. I'm not going to be able to. There's no way. But now he's going to have trouble now, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this concept. I'm going to go here. Now look what I can do. Here. And once I tuck his leg in, I'm going to be able to raise and then angle again. Alright, so how is this going to happen? I'm going to be here. I'm going to be in this spot here. Same thing as before, right? I'm going to be elbow to elbow. I'm going to use it. I'm going to be trying to drive. I'm going to be working. I can't. You guys see this? I'm working really hard now to open this knee. He's closing it. It's too strong. Alright? So what am I going to do? All I'm going to do is this. I'm going to drive forward, placing my hand on my chest like this to try to drive. He's going to stop me. So what does this mean I can do? I'm going to go elbow to elbow. You see how my elbow's on the floor? I'm going to put pressure. He's going to stop me. I'm going to use his momentum. And I'm going to bend his leg like so. You guys see that? So come back, please. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go chest pressure and my hand on his shin like this. He's going to stop me from putting pressure. I'm going to feel it. The second I feel it, that's going to give me momentum to drive forward and then tuck my body in like so. This motion is a game changer, guys. Because it stops his only defense or defending his foot lock. Alright, so come back. So we're here. I barely have the foot lock right now, right? I need you guys to understand though, a prerequisite in doing the variation I just said is from the beginning of this DVD. And what was that? I need his toes in my armpit to do a foot lock, right? Right now his heel is the wrong direction. But what are we going to do? His toes are the wrong direction, but I could place his toes, this part of his foot, the side of his foot in my armpit still, right? Totally fine. I don't need his big toe I don't need this part of his foot in my armpit initially. I don't need to be on this side of his foot, okay? I'm just going to be on top of his toes. So we're going to be here. We're going to be here. I'm driving. I can't do it. He defends. So all I do is this. I separate and I trap his toes in my armpit. Do you guys see this? This is the most important detail. Look at this. I bring my hand up. I drive. Because I'm putting my hand on my chest like this to push forward. Look how my hand pushes into the position here. You see my hand? My fingers? It puts pressure into the position here. Now when I drive, his leg straight, I can't do it. So now I drive, I can't do it. I'm going to back up my body and I'm going to connect my armpit. So I go backing up and then I touch my armpit on his side of his foot like this. So you see the side of his foot is in my armpit right now, right? Now all we're going to do is this. I'm going to drive, he's going to defend. All I'm going to do now is I go 1 and now I'm going to tuck in 2. You guys see that? And now once I tuck it in, look how it rolled his knee, right? Because now, look how my knees are automatically coming back into place now. So now look how I can adjust, and now I'm back in a regular foot lock to tap him. Or, when I'm here, I could back up, and now I can put pressure on his knee again. Look, now I'm back in the game from before where I could roll it again. And now I'm back in the foot lock again. You guys see that? So we're here, he straightens his leg. All I want you guys to do is this. I get the lock, I put my hand on his shin like this. My hand. I'm here. I go elbow to elbow. I drive into it. I feel it's too strong. I collect his toe into my armpit. This small detail is what changes it. Look how I crunch. I open my elbow and I bring my body into the toes. You see that? So it's 1, 2. I collect. The side of his foot goes into my armpit. I feel it touch. I feel it touch my armpit. Now I go like this. I drive again, and he's defending. Now all I'm going to do is this. 1, 2, tuck. You see how it fixes everything? Now once I fix everything, look how I can do. I can bring my knee back, I can drive, and I can adjust. Once it's adjusted, it's done. Okay? This will take a little while to get used to doing this motion, guys. But it's going to fix it. Because now when he defends like this, you'll have an answer. So I try to open his knee with all the things we said before. I can't. I just touch his toe. I just touch his toe in my armpit. This is what I'm doing, guys. I'm physically bringing his toe in my armpit like this. And it's the side of his foot. It doesn't matter. Once we bring our hips square with him, now his foot's going to be normal again. And now we can raise and tuck and roll. That's what's happening. Okay? So when we're here, and he's here, he's turning, I drive, I can't do it, there's no way. I just touch his toe in my armpit. I raise, I bring my head toward his leg. I touch his toe, and I go like this. 1, 2. And now I end up here. And now look what's going to happen. I'm going to bring my body down his toe a little bit here. So now straighten your leg. He straightens his leg, he taps himself. Because the second I already have pressure here, by him straightening his leg, it actually puts submission pressure on him. So he has to keep his leg bent now. And because he has to keep his leg bent, what does that mean for us? That means I could easily go elbow to elbow, roll his toe again, and get back to our submission. Okay? So, again, conceptually, his leg is turned this way. We try to play with the concept of the knee, opening. If we can get his heel in front, done. We can't. Now he's too strong. His leg is straightened. We're going to get our body to his toes. Now all we're going to do is crunch his knee down. And as we crunch his knee down, we're going to be able to go elbow to elbow again, get his heel in front, and now it's the same thing as before. One more time, we're here. I drive, I can't do it, right? I collect his toe into my armpit, like this. Now it's here. I get the grip, I slide down immediately. I have our straight full lock right here if I want. If I want to change, I go elbow to elbow, I roll, and now it's done. Alright? I understand this concept could be hard. But once you learn this, life is amazing, alright? So I want you to work this now, and we'll keep going from there. So now this clip is going to be a braking mechanics clip for when I'm doing my position when the person's standing, okay? This is very, very dangerous, so I really want you and your partner to go really slow with this, okay? It's so dangerous because when the person falls when you have this position, basically, they're like falling off a mountain. It's like you have a submission and the person's falling off a mountain. It like makes it bend way more, you know? And that's how like the best way to think of it. So watch what's gonna happen. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be in butterfly ashi here. I'm gonna collect the foot on top of me. I'm gonna get to the yoki lock here, right? So now what are we going to do? I'm gonna place my foot on his hip like so. Yeah. I'm gonna place my foot on his hip like so. And this alone, the pressure of my closing my elbow here, plus the pressure of me turning this direction, plus the pressure of me holding his knee and bridging in, will break his foot right here, okay? All our braking mechanics from before will apply the same, okay? But all I need you guys to understand is, a problem you'll run into with the yoki lock here in competition, you'll break people's foot, no problem, always. But eventually what they'll be able to do is hop, and they'll be able to peel this foot off and back step, and you might lose the position after breaking their foot. So a way that we fix this is we do this. I'm here in butterfly ashi, I get the foot on my chest, I get here. Now when I'm here, I'm stepping on the hip, what I want you to do is, as I'm putting pressure on the yoki lock here and bridging, I'm going to add my other foot in on top of his leg like so, okay? I don't care how you place your feet here, I just want both feet up here. Why? Because now he has 2 feet to peel. So as he's working to peel the feet, he's going to break his foot every time. You see that? If I just stay here, I can submit many people. Especially if I get his heel perfect and I have my hips up and I change hips to the other side. His heel will keep coming up, the fulcrum will keep rising, and this will break really bad. But he could eventually peel this foot if I just stay here. Okay, in a perfect world, we want both feet up here. So now when I raise and bridge, I'm able to break here, you see. So I'm here, I raise my hip up, I lock my feet, and I'm under him, right? I'm staying here, I bridge up. And now I have so much more room to go. I can bridge up here, and now I'm able to bring my hip this way. And as I bring my hip this way, I could bridge into him, ending up belly down eventually when his body collapses. At this point, his foot's completely off though, okay? So, I want you guys to be very careful when you're doing this. Just understand, it's the same breaking mechanics as everything I've said before. The only thing is, I need you guys to understand that if you just stay in butterfly ashi, which is totally fine. I finished many people there just staying in butterfly ashi. There's a chance they could take a break in their foot and peel the foot in a competition scene, in a competition setting, alright? So, if you want to save yourself from that scenario happening, we go foot to foot. Now they're trying to peel both feet. And it's going to feel difficult for them to peel both feet. So now they lost their one way out. So then it's too devastating for them to even continue. Alright? So, play with that in the guard section. Because I'm going to teach you guys in the guard section all our different ways to get to this spot. Alright? And this breaking mechanics are going to help you once we get to this spot. Plus. So now we're going to get into how we arrive in double pull and what we're going to be doing in double pull. Okay? Like I explained before, the definition of double pull is when I'm playing guard with John, or anyone here, I end up double ankle sweeping him, whatever. His butt touches the floor. And my butt's on the floor. Now we're both seated, right? And we're in double pull. Okay? Again, if they don't follow the double pull when I'm playing guard, the finishing is going to be way stronger. Okay? But if they fall to defend, this is going to be our world for finishing. That's later in the series though. Okay? So we both end up in double pull. This way, please. Now, what I want you guys to understand is there's two worlds of double pull. There's only two possibilities that he could be doing. One, he could be having all his weight on his toes like so, and if I went to lift up his leg, it's very hard because he's putting all his weight on his feet. Okay? The second one, he could be posting his hands on the floor, putting all his weight on his butt, his hips. Okay? Now his foot is very light. You guys see that? So what I want you guys to understand is in jiu-jitsu, it's always a digital scale. Okay? Lean forward again. Let's just make up random numbers. Here, I try to lift up John's leg. He's putting all his weight on his legs. His leg might weigh 50 pounds right now, okay? When John posts his hands on the floor, his weight transfers from here, which was 50, so you see the digital scale. Oh, it's 50 pounds. Now it just went down to 15 pounds. And now over here, the 35 that moved went up to here, okay? So in jiu-jitsu, it's always manipulating the body to make the digital scale on his limbs lighter. And then I can lift up his leg. You guys see that? So when I'm here with John, obviously my goal is to lift up his leg, like I said before, to wedge it under my leg, and then to place it in my armpit, right? But if he's putting all his weight on his foot, how can I do that? That would require me to use strength right now, right? But John's leaning forward. I can't do that. So this is world 1 of double pull, when his weight's on his foot. World 2 is when he's posting and his weight's on his butt. Alright? And based on which one he gives us, we're going to manipulate his body. And we're going to eventually arrive all in the same place. Okay? So, this is a brief overview of worlds 1 and 2 of double pull. Weight on butt, weight on foot. Listen. So now we're going to get into our first entrance into butterfly ashi. Okay? And we're going to be starting this series in World 2 of double pull, which I just explained before when he has his weight on his butt and hands. Okay? It's easier for us to get to the footlock, right? Because his weight's on his butt. We can just lift up the leg and place it in our armpit. Okay? And that's going to be our objective when we're doing this, right? Create the wedge under his upper part of his leg to yield us the lower part of his leg to get to the footlock. Alright, so I'm going to be here with John. Again, we ended up in double pull. I double ankle swept him. I did any type of sweep. John lands with his butt on the floor, and my butt's on the floor. So now we're in double pull. Later in the series, we'll be doing me and guard, him on top, and that'll be a whole different thing. Okay? So I'm here. I land with John in this spot. Now, I feel John's weight is on his butt. I can raise his leg. You see how his leg is light. His pressure's all on his knee and his hips, so his leg is light. What are we going to do? We land, and what we're going to do is, all I'm going to do is grab his collar. I'm going to place my foot on his hip, my front foot. I'm going to raise, pushing him back Why do I push it back? What I want you to think about when we're in this spot is the digital scale concept. Let's say John has a certain amount of weight in one part of his body, like his foot. His foot weighs 20 pounds. Whenever I push him back, now he posted and put more weight on his hand, his hips. Now the 20 pounds in his foot just went lower. So the digital scale now is at 7 pounds, 8 pounds. Meaning it's easier for me to lift. Meaning I don't have to use as much strength to lift up his leg, okay? And that's what we're always trying to do in Jiu-Jitsu. Maximize our efficiency, and altering his body will help us to maximize our efficiency, okay? So I'm here with John, and I get to this spot. I feel his weight on his hips. I can lift. I'm just going to push him back a little bit. Now his weight's going to even be more on his hips, making it easy for me to raise. Now once I raise, if I let go, it falls back down, right? So what do I have to do? I have to create a wedge under his popliteal in order to yield the lower part of his leg. The popliteal is behind his knee. So I raise up, I place a wedge of my knee directly under his popliteal, like so. So once we raise, we put the wedge in. Okay. Now, notice I'm not grabbing, but his foot doesn't touch the floor because we have a wedge under. So that means that this wedge will now make it easy for me to lift up using my knee and my hand to wrap my arm around his foot. Okay. So again, we're here. We land, I push his shoulder, I raise up, I place my knee under. So I can place my knee directly under, but if I need to, I could scoot my hip in. Now I have more volume on the outside of his leg to wedge his leg under me. Okay. So now that his leg is under me, I can raise up, placing his foot in my armpit. Now what I can do is, once I raise up, I can grab right on his knee. I can make an underhook grip on his knee. There's many different grips I can make. But all we need to do is step on his hip, grab the footlock, and pull my hip in to end up in this spot. Okay. So this is the first basic way we're going to enter the footlock. We're going to be here. I'm going to be here. I punch his collarbone back. I raise up the foot. I place my knee directly under his knee. I pull up his foot. I get the footlock grip. I step on my hip and I pull myself in. Okay. It doesn't matter how you pull yourself in. I just need your hips to scoot under him. Alright? Now I have a complete wedge and I have complete control of his leg. Right, so again, we're here. We land, I step on the hip, I punch back. So I have my frame on his hip with my foot. I have my frame on his collar, his collarbone with my collar grip. I'm framing directly on his collarbone. Now I can lift up his leg, place it under my knee, scoot my hand under, locking my forearm under his foot, and now I can place my foot like so, falling to my side eventually. But for now, you can just get to the footlock like this. Here, locking the hands, here. Now you're in butterfly action. Okay. Or I could fall down to here, whichever you guys prefer. So we're here, collar, leg, punch, overhook, foot here. Push, collar grip, foot here. And when I place my other foot, I'm reinforcing my frame on his hip. So my foot's on his hip right now. I place my other foot right on top of my foot, reinforcing that frame. Okay? So now we have double efficiency with our legs because we're framing both in the same place. Okay? So it's punch, knee, overhook, foot to foot. Punch, knee, overhook, foot to foot. Okay? This is what we're going to work now, and we'll keep going from there. Okay guys, so that's the first basic way that we're going to enter into this position. My partner's weight is going to be in World 2. We lift up the leg and we get to the footlock. Alright? Now I'm going to give you an alternative scenario, and my partner's weight is actually going to be on their foot. So here. I'm going to be here. I want to lift up John's leg. It's really heavy now. So now what am I going to do? What happened? What happened is the digital scale concept, like I just previously said. Before there was 20 pounds on his foot. Now there's 50 pounds on his foot. He feels I want to lift it, so he puts all his weight on his foot. What I need you guys to understand is the correlation in the body when this happens. Whenever my partner applies pressure pressing his foot to the floor, he compromises his ability to control his knee. You guys see this? So when he starts putting his weight on the floor, look what I could do. I could internally rotate his knee down. You guys see? For him to stop that, stop it. Now look at this foot comes up. Because he cannot put his weight in both spots. For him to keep his knee from internally rotating, he has to press his hip to the floor. That enables him to keep his knee from internally rotating. Now that his hip's on the floor, where is he? He's in World 2. So now I can lift up his foot. When he's in World 1, I'm lifting. There's no way. It's too strong. Look. Okay. So now we see that this scenario is going to be, we have to manipulate his knee. Okay, so what are we going to do? What we're going to do is we need some type of leg configuration that could bring his knee toward the floor, right? What are we going to use? We're going to use De La Riva. De La Riva is when I place my foot on the outside of his leg like so. Okay? De La Riva is when I place my foot on the outside of his leg. You guys see this? This will help me now because I can bring my knee and my body down to bring his knee to the floor. Okay? So when we're in this spot and I feel, wow, his leg feels heavy. I want to lift it. There's no way. I can't lift it. I'm just going to pull him forward, putting more weight on his foot, and I'm going to go De La Riva. Wait, why am I pulling him forward? The reason I'm pulling him forward, because we're in World 1, where his weight's on his foot, I want as much weight as I can on his foot. Digital scale concept. Because if he has no weight on his butt and hips, I can bring his knee in even easier. You guys see this? So, it's the complete opposite thing we were doing before. I feel his weight on his leg. I'm lifting. I can't. I pull his collar toward me. I put my foot inside his leg. So my foot, my foot is inside his leg, like so. Back up. Okay. Just here. See my foot's inside his leg? So now, what we're going to do is, with my foot inside his leg, I'm going to pull forward, and now I'm going to bring his knee to the floor, guys. Okay? So now, once his knee's to the floor, what I want you guys to notice is, all his weight is bringing his knee down, but look what I can do now. I can punch him backward, like this. Okay? Because I can punch him backward, the reason why I can is because he can't keep his weight on this forward leg anymore. His knee is completely down. So once I punch him backward, he posted. What does that mean? If he posts, he has to have weight on his hips and his arm. Meaning the digital scale concept. Now this leg is lighting. What does that mean we can do? I can pull, I punch. Now the same thing as before. Step on his hip like this. I raise up, wedging my knee under. Now I can get the overhook again to the foot lock. To this spot here. You guys see that? How we manipulated his body, understanding the rules of his body, enabled us to arrive in the same spot. Just a different way for us to get there. Okay, so we're here. We land. Foot on his hip. I try to lift. There's no way I can lift. So I pull his head to me. Now that means his knee, I can bend. You guys see this? So all you guys have to do is put your De La Riva hook in. And all you're going to do is bring my knee this way. You guys see? So I'm just bringing my knee in. I'm internally rotating my knee to internally rotate his. You guys see? Now once I do this and I pull forward, look what I'm going to do. I'm going to punch. He posted his hand. Now I can lift up his leg here, bringing my knee under his popliteal and get to the overhook. Okay? So I want you guys to work this now and we'll keep going from there. So what I want to explain now is I give you two basic ways to get into the footlock, right? From butterfly ashi. And there's many ways for us to arrive in this spot, okay? My favorite method is using the berimbolo, which is a back take where I flank around my partner to get here. So when I'm here with John, the reason why I like using berimbolo is whenever he puts weight on his foot and I turn his knee in, I'm able to flank around him and eventually start taking his back here. The only way John can stop me from flanking around him is putting weight on his knee, posting, putting all his weight on his hips, right? So I forced him out of World 1 into World 2. Now, to do the footlock is really easy for me to just lift up his leg, wedge it under my leg, and get into the butterfly ashi foot. Okay? So just have this in mind, that if you like berimbolo and De La Riva, if I start going here and I can place my knee on top of his knee, I can begin to take his back here. He defends by pushing me away, posting his arms. Now look, foot on the hip, punch the collar, raise. Grab his leg, lifting up, place it under my arm. I can get to the footlock, okay? So if you want to play with this, it would just be like this. I feel his weight on his foot, I pull the collar down, I bring his knee in, I place my knee on top of his leg, like this. Now when I'm here, I start going for his back. He opens his knee to defend. I go here, here, here. If you guys want to learn Berimbolo, I have a huge system on Berimbolo, and it's all based on me being able to close his knee, okay? And many different variations from there. Just wanted to throw this in here so you guys could play with that. But again, us playing this double pull concept is just us constantly trying to lift up his leg. He puts it down. Us closing his knee, he lifts it up. I get here. Okay, there's many different creative ways for us to do this. I just wanted to give you guys some idea, an overview broadly of how we can manipulate his knee, what that enables us to do, and then what we could go back into. So now we're ready to begin learning the footlock guard, okay? And what I'm going to explain to you is there's two ways my partner could base when they're in the footlock guard. One is with their torso forward, the other is with posture, deadlift, okay? And I'm going to give you a brief fundamental overview of how to sweep somebody, and that's going to teach us how to play this footlock guard, okay? Now, world one is going to be John when we're in the footlock position with butterfly ashi. His torso forward, right? His torso forward. He would be doing this to grab my collar. He'd be doing this to try to leg drag me, okay? Then the second world is John posturing up, like so, and he'd be doing this way. He'd be doing this to try to peel my foot off of him, so he'd feel back step to pass the go, okay? So each one will have a different approach to dealing with, okay? And each one is going to be based on our rules of balance, all right? So I'm going to explain now the rules of balance. So now, as we begin playing the footlock guard, we're going to be learning the basic rules of balance in order to off-balance our partner. Everything in this footlock guard is going to be about off-balancing our partner, and when they defend us off-balancing, it's going to enable us to collect their foot onto our chest. There's going to be many cool correlations you guys are going to learn in this part of the series, okay? So, there's only going to be two rules of balance I need you guys to understand in this first part. And it's going to be based on how he's basing. Like I previously stated, there's two worlds of base. One with his torso forward, the other posturing deadlift, right? And each one will serve a different function for him in order to try to defend himself in the footlock guard, okay? So these rules of balance go as follows. Stand up, please. When I'm here with John, and he postures up tall, if I make his head exceed his heels, he will fall. Do you guys see this? If he has nothing besides his head there, and I make his head exceed his heels, he falls. So again, I'm going to hook his body so he doesn't fall right away. He postures, I make his head exceed his heels, he begins to fall. Right? That's the first rule of balance that we learn in Jiu-Jitsu. Double ankle sweeps. All those things come from that principle. Okay? Now the second rule of balance. Stand up, please. As I begin to double ankle sweep him, if John places some sort of volume exceeding his heels, he'll be able to stay up. What can he place? His butt. So if I'm here with John, and I go for the double ankle sweep, and he places his butt to exceed his heels, look, I'm putting pressure back. He doesn't fall anymore. Because now his butt exceeds his heel, right? So now what does this mean I have to do? The second rule of balance states that if his butt exceeds his heel, like so, I need to bring his head toward his heels now. Now when I bring his head toward his heels, I'm able to sweep his butt backward. Okay? This is what I'm looking to do. And based on his reaction, will tell us which way we're trying to sweep him. Okay, so come back up. So now if his torso is forward, we're always pulling him forward. We're holding the ankle. We're pushing pressure on his hip. Then I can punch him and his butt will touch the floor because now I'm sweeping his butt. But now if I try to punch him and he postures up, look, I can't punch him back, right? Because his butt doesn't exceed his heels anymore. So now what can I do? I can put his heels behind his head behind his heels and double ankle sweep him. So those are the first 2 rules of balance we're going to be learning in this series, and that's going to enable us to play this footlock guard as efficiently as we need to. Yes. So now we're going to learn our first sweep in the footlock system, okay? And it's going to be with my partner holding my collar. That's going to be the most common reaction that the person is going to try to do. They're going to have their torso forward, they're going to be holding your collar, because they're going to try to leg drag you. They're going to try to put weight forward so they can defend the footlock, okay? So I'm going to be here with John. I'm going to be in this spot right here. And John's going to be holding my collar like so, okay? Notice, John's butt exceeds his heels, right? Remember that was our second rule of balance. What does that mean? That means I'm not going to be punching him like this. This is what your instinct will tell you to do. Oh, just punch it. But that will actually be helping him balance because all his weight's on his butt. That does nothing, okay? So what are we going to be doing? What we're going to be doing is I have to place my foot, this foot, directly on his hip bone. Why? That's the direct frame on his body, okay? So I want your right foot to touch the bone on his hip. My other foot, my other foot's just going to be hooking his knee, like so. Right on my foot, hooking his knee. Now lean back down. Now what are we going to do? I'm going to pull his collar down, like we just said, because I have to sweep his butt, right? So as I pull his collar down, I'm going to bring his heel up, like this, with my elbow. I'm holding my collar, I'm pulling it up, I'm pulling his shoulder to me, and now look what I'm going to do. I'm going to place his butt on the floor. What am I going to do? I'm going to stretch my legs, pulling forward, I'm going to bring my knees up, and then I'm going to push him down. And look how he falls. Stand up, please. Hunch. Yes. Remember what I said before. Whenever he's hunched, if I bring his head to his heel, now I can sweep his butt backward. That's what we're doing in this footlock guard, okay? You see how it's exactly the same concept? So we're here in the footlock guard. I'm hooking his knee, just like we learned in double pull. My other foot is just here. He holds my collar, he's hunched. I place my foot directly on his hip. This inside leg directly on his hip. I pull his head toward his feet. Now, once I pull his head toward his feet, I bring his foot toward me, I pull his head toward me, and then I'm just going to stretch, placing his butt on the floor to make him fall down. Now I'm back in our double pull system, right? Where I can adjust the footlock and do everything like before, okay? So again, we're here. Guys, I use this position so much, and it's just hooking, foot here. I get to this spot. John's basing, he's holding my collar, he's here. He could be posturing a little bit, he's just in this fight here. He's moving around, he's basing. I just pull his head down. I place my foot on his hip. Here, crunch, head in. Now I'm just going to stretch and punch his collar. And guys, when I punch his collar, I want your hand directly on his collarbone, okay? This is a concept of soft tissue versus bone. If I go on the soft tissue of his body, come into me, my hand bends. If I go on his bone, come into me, it's a direct frame. So always grab the collarbone. It's a frame on his body, okay? Again, and that's why we're stepping on his hip bone right here. I'm stepping on his ASIS. This is his direct hip bone. This sweep is identical to how we play De La Riva. If you watch my De La Riva series, you'll be like, oh, it's the same exact thing, because it is. When I do a side sweep in De La Riva, I pull his head down, and then I punch the collar to bring him down. You see? Because I'm bringing his head toward his feet. And then I punch him down, sweeping his butt. Now when we're in the footlock guard, we're here. I have the overhook, right? I'm holding my collar. My foot is hooking his knee. I'm here. He's holding here. I step on the hip. I pull his head toward his feet. As I pull his head toward his feet, I bring him forward. And now all I'm going to do is place his butt on the floor by punching his collarbone. Okay? So I punch his collarbone, and now his feet fall. And now I end up in the footlock here, where I could close my elbow. I could go here and begin to finish. Okay, so one more time. We're here. In the footlock guard, I'm here. I have the overhook, we're in this spot here. I bring my foot in, I pull forward, 1. Again. 1. 2. Again. 1. 2. Again, it's a good circle. 1. 2. Okay? So, I want you guys to work this now. This is the basic side sweep in the footlock guard.
Okay guys, now we're ready to learn the second variation from this spot. The first variation we finished from double pull, right? Like our braking mechanics in double pull series, we will follow to finish once I sweep John, okay? Now, we're going to be finishing standing. So what's going to happen? This is a new concept you guys are going to learn. And basically the concept is going to be as follows. Every time I try to sweep John and he stays up, he has to hop. When he hops for balance, the amount of weight he can keep on that forward leg will be compromised. Meaning, I'll be able to lift up the foot now, standing, while he's standing, okay? So watch. I'm going to be your John, and I'm going to show you what's going to happen. I'm going to be here. I'm going to go for the initial sweep where I punch. As I'm going for this sweep, look how John's hopping. When John hops, when John starts hopping as I sweep him, John loses balance on his heel. The only way John can stay based here without falling is putting weight on his toes. If he keeps his weight on his heel, John starts going backward. Look. Come back up, please. So now once he puts weight on his toes, look, now he's able to hop. Look how he can hop all day. Because he has weight on his toes. The second he takes his weight off his heel, guys, what does that mean for us? That means we can lift up his leg. So what are we going to use? We're going to be using my knee that's under his poplite's heel. We're going to be using our foot on the hip and our whole body to collect his foot on top of us. So watch. We're going to be here. I'm going to have the overhook. I'm going to be punching to sweep him. Look how he's hopping. Now I feel his leg is light. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take my knee under his calf. I'm going to take my overhook. I'm going to lift up his leg like so. Once I lift up his leg like so, look what I'm going to do. If I just grab this foot lock, he can put his foot back down. You guys see that? Every time I go for the foot lock, and he can put his foot back down if he's standing. So I need to do something. I need to create a wedge under his foot so he can't put it back to the floor. So what am I going to use? I'm going to use this. I'm going to punch. He's here. I raise. I'm going to place his heel on my chest like so. You see this? How do I do that? As I have the foot lock, I raise using my elbow. So as I'm here and I try to sweep, he's hopping. I raise him with my elbow. My frame's on his body, lifting up his leg, and my elbow raising and tucking will place his heel on my chest. Now that his heel's on his chest, look how he doesn't go to the floor anymore. Now he cannot place his foot on the floor. This is why we're trying to do this every time. We want to make the wedge our body, placing his foot on our chest. This way, see, the same way. See how his foot is on my chest? And what is this going to enable us to do? It's going to enable us now to have full control of this front leg, and it's going to enable me to break a different part of his foot. The angle of his heel going to his chest, like so, will alter the straight ankle lock braking mechanics, and it'll break just a slightly different angle of his foot, and stronger, okay? So the Aoki lock they teach is like this, right? Like if you have an Aoki lock here, you can start breaking the foot like this and put pressure on the knee. We're just taking a little bit of his foot, a little bit of his heel, and placing it here. So it's still a foot lock, guys, and we're still breaking this part of his foot. But we're just wedging it on top of our body so he cannot put his foot back to the floor. Because then I have to deal with everything all over again, okay? So again, we're here. I'm in the foot lock right here. I'm starting to go here. I want to do my side sweep from before. John goes on his tippy toes to defend. Now it's game on. Look, all I do is this. Look how when he's hopping, I'm losing my knee under his body. So I bring my body square. I lift up his thing. And now look how I place his heel on my chest. Raising my elbow up, place it on my chest here. Now I can lock the collar. Once I lock the collar, guys, this is going to be the braking mechanics for the standing series, which you guys can go to that section to reference. But now I can go here, I can lift my hip up and bridge in this direction, which would break everything, okay? So again, we're here. Here, we put pressure, try to sweep, he's hit. I lift, I raise his heel up. I bring my elbow, this way please. I want my elbow and my knee in the same line. My thigh, look. My elbow and knee in the same thigh, line. If I can get my elbow inside my leg, I know I'm in good shape. I'm doing it correctly. So, I sweep these tippy toes, I raise. Here. Now it's game on. Here. Here. And I can start putting all the pressure on the foot lock. One more time.
here, I raise, I get to the spot here. I go for our sweep, I punch him, I raise my knee up, I let. And now it's game on. Okay? So this is the second variation. I hope you guys are seeing how each way that he manipulates his body, we have an answer for. And that's how we're able to address it. Let's